today I'll be explaining and showing you on how I make this contact form from HTML, JavaScript, and style CSS. Though I have this one CSS file, but we do not need to touch any of it because the SCSS file will handle it all the design and style elements for this for the structure, for the HTML structure. So I'll begin explaining the HTML structures. We'll start from the head tag. Inside the head tag, we see these two lines of code. Actually, this is a viewport. It is needed for the modern HTML, any HTML modern versions, modern web pages, I believe. And then we get to the title. I put activity 4. It's right here. And then I link to, there's like 3 links here. One is for the Google fonts. I picked any fonts that I wanted for the design. Second is, this is linked to a style.css, which is right here. And then the last line of code in the head tag, we see script.js, that is for the JavaScript. As if we follow the link, I just control click or just click in general, we see right here, this is the JavaScript, but I'll explain that later because I'll be explaining the HTML first. Now we get to the overall elements. So obviously in the body tag, we inside the body tag, I use mostly semantic HTML elements to make it more organizable and easy to recognize which elements to, let's say that you want to change something, it's better to use semantic elements. So first we get to the main, that is the, and then we see the class equals the container. That is for the CSS selector that will be explained later. Inside that, we got H2 and the form and this one last paragraph right here. So first in the H2 or header or heading 2, we see ID equals to heading. That is for the JavaScript part, which I'll still explain later. And inside that, we got a contact form, which is right here. And then next, we get to the forms or form. Inside is class equals form, that is for the CSS. ID contact form, that is for the JavaScript linked. And inside the form, we get to the section. So this is where the structures for the input boxes, which is in the name, email, and image. So the syntaxes for that is we put a label and the input. So same still for the email, for the image. A bit of a difference in the image, but still it's more similar. So first we got label for input name, we put name in the top, and the input type, ID input name, and a placeholder, enter your name. So placeholder means something that you put in the input box. So enter your name, which is right here, enter your name. This one word syntax right here, that is used when you want user to fill out the boxes. That's why it's called required. And again, I'll be demonstrating that later. So same goes for the email again, and then the message box. It's different from email and name, because instead of input type, we use the text area instead. That's why it's the message section is a bit more expanded compared to these two above. And then the submit button. Now we get to after the form, we get to the confirmation, but this part right here will appear after you submit. So I haven't touched the contact form yet, so again will be demonstrated later on. Next is we get to the SCSS file, style.css. So the first 2 lines of code, we see import mixin, import var or variable. I shortened that word. These came from these two right here. This type of files are called partial files. So a partial files means, let's say if you want to divide a one SCSS files into parts, so that way it will make it more organizable instead of coding in a one long SCSS file. So the rest of code in the style.css, we got the universal selector. So this block of code right here, this is where all of the elements will be resetted to 0. As you can see here, in the margin and padding will be in 0. In that way, it will the spacing or the sizes of the elements will be resetted from its default styles or spacing from the CSS or HTML. Now finally we got to the body and then the rest. So body, the background color is a variable bg color that is from the variable. It's right here. It's more on a sage color. The next, the font family, that is from the Google fonts as well, which is from the head tag. And then the text color or the font color, that is from the variable files as well, which is right here. It's more of a darkish yellow. Now onto the container. This is class container that came from the main, which is right here. So now we got the width 400 pixels, which is in this white box, margin 50 pixels, padding 30 pixels, background color, variable container color, again from the variable partial files. It's right here. This is closest to white. And the border, this is the border that I'm talking about. As you can see here, it's lean on the in the orange, similar to the button color. That's why the variable connected to the button color, which is right here again. It's more of a neutral orange shade. And make the border radius to 15 pixels, and the box shadow right under the container, if you can see it. Now we get to the nested within the class container. We got the H2, text align center and margin to 20 pixels. that is for this part right here. That is for the contact form. And then the label, display block, margin top 12 pixels. I believe that is for the this part right here, the name and its input boxes. As you can see here, input, text area, and include input style. That is for that is from the mixed and partial file, which is right here. And then text area again, height 100 pixels and resize none. And then the button, and that's for here, display block, margin 20 pixels, padding 10 pixels and 25 pixels, and background color again from the button color variable, and right here same color as the border, neutral orange, and font family inherit, still the same thing because this is outside from this, but I mean it is still in the section, but it's still the same font. And then the hover part for the button, which is lessen the opacity. As we hover the button, it will lessen the opacity of the color itself. And then the confirmation, this will appear after you input something on your contact form. Now I headed to the JavaScript files. I mean the JavaScript file. So in the document that get element by ID, contact form, that is from, again, HTML right here. So when you submit the contact form, the function will let's say the function will work or something. Event that prevent default, that prevent the page from refreshing. And then this is where the user inputs. So let name dot document that get element by ID, input name, input email, input image. That is from this part right here. Still the same thing from the section. Get right here, input name, input email, and then input image. I mean message. And then after the user inputs their information, their value will go to the conditional statement. So we use the if else. If the users enter something and confirms, this will appear on the web page. But if the user didn't input anything or it's just empty, as you can see here on the conditional, if name is nothing, email equals to nothing, message equals to nothing, it will get all the error. It will output this instead. And finally, we got to the DOM part, DOM part. So this line of code, basically, if you finally submit anything, this heading right here will change its colors to green. So now I'll start to demonstrate. So we put my name, and then email, and then I put any message. So I'll put anything. So this is the output. This is the DOM part. As I told you that it will change to green, and this form sent successfully. That is because of this part right here, confirmation, and the last paragraph tag. So that is all the explanation for my code in this activity. Thank you.